Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome to How to Be a Model 101. I'll be your teacher, Charlie Wright. As a model who's been doing this on and off for most of my life, actually, from Paris Fashion Week runways to magazine editorials and brand campaigns, I know I've seen and learned some things. I like to think that I've navigated this world pretty successfully and have dodged some really bad scenarios, and today I will be sharing with you some of that information that I've learned and some of my other model friends have learned, and hopefully you can get something out of it. Anyways, let's begin. So one of the main things you're going to start with is probably knowing your measurements. The basic ones are height, chest, waist, hips, and shoes. There's also shirt, suit, collar, hat, dress, gloves. But those are less important. It's pretty easy to do. All you need is a measuring tape, and you can look online how to do it. And this may come off as cold, but fashion has a pretty strict measurement requirement. And if you don't fit into that, it can be harder to get those jobs. I'm not saying it's impossible, just less likely. For example, for men, there's a pretty strict height requirement of at least 6 feet minimum if you want to do runway. Has it stopped people from doing it before? No. But is it easier to become a model if you have these measurements? Yes. Also, it's just important to have your measurements known so that you can self-submit to certain jobs or agencies along with your photos. And also another tip is to have your measurements in both inches and centimeters, because a lot of fashion works in the metric system. So it's good to know yours in both. It's easy, it comes in handy. Everyone needs to have them down. And then that's it. You do it once and you're done. Getting photos is the second most important thing in order to become a model. Now, you don't need some professional editorial or campaign level photos to start. In fact, it's almost better to just have simple basic photos that focus on you. These photos are usually called Polaroids in the modeling world and need to be updated anytime you change your look or every couple of months. They typically are taken on a plain white wall or background with a dark shirt or shirtless sometimes for a man, and include a full body frame shot, waist up, full face frontal, profiles, maybe a 3/4 look, and then sometimes your hands for jewelry. These photos you can take yourself and will be what you submit to either agencies or jobs, so make sure you look good in them. I've had some bad Polaroids taken before due to a bad haircut, and I didn't get work during that time. So make sure you look sexy. Also, keep them updated. The last thing a client wants is to see old Polaroids from years ago, and then you show up looking completely different. If you cut your hair, dye it, get tattoos, piercings, whatever it is, take new Polaroids to show it off. Now that you have your measurements and your Polaroids, you're ready to submit to agencies. Most agencies have a self-submission page on their site, and that will tell you exactly what and how to submit yourself. And the thing is, it's just a numbers game. Submit yourself everywhere you can. Don't take it personally if they don't respond or say no. It's just part of the business. You might be thinking to yourself, well, there are no agencies near me. And to that, I say, start with the city closest to you, and then go from there outwards until you're submitting to places like LA or New York. And one of the things that I've learned from being a model and actor is that it doesn't mean anything to be with the biggest agency sometimes. I was with one of the biggest modeling agencies in the world, and I barely worked. So what matters more is being with an agent that can work for you, submit you to jobs that you can actually get, and overall care about you succeeding. And it also helps if they're not scamming you. Social media plays a huge part in modeling nowadays. Think of it as like your resume or your LinkedIn profile, and that it is what you want people to see and think of you. Most jobs and agencies will ask you for your profiles on Instagram and TikTok, and maybe some others, but mainly those two. It's one of the ways that people and clients get an idea of who you are and your work, your personality, your look, who you are outside of modeling. And obviously the more you grow on it, the more they care Doesn't mean you have to become an influencer or whatever. It's just that it does help to have some clout sometimes. Think of Alex Consani and Kayla Marper, both of whom are great models and have used that to grow their platform, and that in turn grows their popularity as a model. And it's something you can do starting now. So go out there and start. Like most jobs in the world, modeling is full of scams. And unfortunately, there are so many, but most of them are pretty obvious. What you need to know from the beginning is if an agency is charging you money up front, either to submit yourself or get representation or go to castings, whatever it is, it's a scam. Same goes for brands or designers that want you to pay to submit yourself to the castings. Scam. Read your contracts. I cannot stress this enough. Read how long the contract lasts. 1 to 2 years is pretty normal. 5 years is long. Check if it auto-renews. Check how to get out of your contract. Know your rights and how much your agency is taking from your paycheck. They could easily be withholding pay. I've heard and seen it happen before. They can also charge you for photos or being on the website, which is, a little shady, but it's kind of normal. I've heard agencies charge the models obscene amounts of rent to stay in the model apartments and then keep them in debt to pay it off, hopefully by working, and worst case scenario by other means. I always try to keep my financial reliance on my agency to the lowest, just the bare minimum of test shoots, printed cards, and website fees. Everything else I took care of myself. Most of these scams, they center around money, obviously. So my advice is to Google everything, whoever you're dealing with, because if they've scammed before, there's probably someone out there that's posted about it. So just double check everything online and check what the norm is about other people. See what they've done. Ask people that have been there or people that have worked with them if you can. But do your research beforehand and just be safe, because it's a pretty sketchy world out there. So I've been a signed model and more recently an unsigned model. And when you're signed, your agent does most of the work finding the jobs. And when you're unsigned, you have to do all that work. Now, how I recommend doing that and what's worked for me is to follow everyone. I mean everyone. Stylists, photographers, brands, casting directors, magazines, everyone on Instagram. Okay, because they're always posting on their stories for people or open castings, things you can attend, jobs, whatever it is. And most of the time, you can get a response. They will also specify, or you can ask, if the opportunity is paid or not. If not, sometimes there might be a gift or a trade involved where you could receive something in return, maybe clothes or magazine or photo book. But yeah, scour online and on Instagram to find all the people you would like to work with or admire their work and follow them and just check their stories. I mean, especially the smaller brands and designers, they typically post about open castings or self-submission for anyone to show up. So keep an eye out for that. That's what's worked for me. Hey. Now, another way to self-submit as a model is with online apps or websites. I have tried one called New Book that I've heard good things about, but I personally never got work off of it. But you can sign up and make an account, and you have to get verified before you can actually submit yourself to jobs. And from my experience, it took at least a couple of weeks. But once you're in, there are plenty of jobs that are being posted depending on your location, and they're open to self-submission. There are probably other sites like New Book, which by the way is free, but be wary of the ones that charge you. And when it comes to going on Craigslist to look for jobs, it can really be a hit or miss type of place. I have used it myself before, actually, when I was casting for something, but I know that there could be scams or worse on there. So you kind of have to be really experienced with it or just absolutely crazy to go on Craigslist. So I don't really recommend it, but there's probably plenty of other sites to go on now. A lot of the times you'll hear horror stories about models being taken advantage of by photographers, designers, agents, whatnot. And it's true. There are a lot of slimy grifters that try and weasel their way into the fashion business just to prey on, unsuspecting people. And the only way to protect yourself is to know how to identify when a situation or person is not good. For example, if an agent is pushing you to go meet some guy and party with him, or he really wants you to diet and lose weight, that's a bad situation and that person is toxic. If a photographer reaches out and wants to take photos of you for his, quote, art project or personal book, and the mood board is just naked photographs, probably not a good situation. It doesn't matter how famous or how much clout they have, a creep is a creep. You will also hear from other people in the business on who is a bad person and who to avoid. And it can really ruin the experience for you if you ever run into a bad situation or person when modeling. It's supposed to be fun and exciting. And remember, don't let the party and the drugs or whatever take control of your life. There are plenty of people who have gone down the wrong path because of all the bad influences there are in the fashion world. Yes, going to after parties can be fun, and yes, I may have dabbled here and there, but I never let it get out of control, okay? If you want a long, successful career and life, you have to take care of your body and mind. So, be nice to yourself. A lot of models have a bad reputation of being a prima donna, lazy, demanding, on drugs, hungover, stinky, rude. I've heard and seen countless stories of people having to work and deal with these kinds of models. Do not be one of them, okay? Be clean, be sober, show up on time, be as nice as you can be, respect the clothes. The models that are a hard time, their reputation spreads like wildfire, and soon enough, everyone knows that you are hard to work with and nobody wants to work with you. But the models that are great and professional, respectful, they get hired again and again because time is money, and all these people are here to work on this job for a couple hours or days, and every minute counts, and they need the model to cooperate to get the job done. Okay? You're part of a team, and you're bringing this idea to life. Don't let it get it to your head. Okay? Be nice. That's all they're asking for. Most modeling jobs don't pay much nowadays, if they pay at all. And on top of that, your agency takes a 20% cut, and then there's taxes on top of that. And even worse is you get paid maybe 3 to 4 months later. My advice, don't quit your day job. If you're in school or you're working a job that you like, find a way to make it work. Okay, don't sacrifice a potential good future for a modeling job. There are only a handful of models who really make good money doing this, and it's because they work non-stop all year long. Most of us, realistically, won't achieve that kind of success. So it is super important to have something supporting you along the way so you don't go crazy or fall into sketchy situations for money like yachting. Okay? Stick to what you're doing, stay in school, graduate, keep your job, pursue something outside of modeling, because modeling, it's kind of like a side thing for the most part. You never know when you're going to get a job, and you never know if you're going to be in season or not. You might be hot one season, and then the next season, they forget about you. So make sure that you have like a fallback plan, but also like a main plan, okay? Don't let modeling just be the only thing you do. Trust me. You want something else. Well, I hope these tidbits of advice and information provided some kind of use to you. Modeling can be really fun. It can be a great experience, but don't let it dominate your life. That being said, chase your dreams. And as always, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you have any other questions, leave them below and I'll get to them. And I will see you next time. Class dismissed.